But I think one of those things that we need to talk about is how we listen versus what we hear. Listening with intent, active listening. Like, you heard me say something, but you didn't listen to what I just said, right? You heard me. And that's what we're going to talk about today on The Living Room. Welcome back. That's your part.
Welcome back.
You're shook. Hold on. Welcome back to The Living Room. We're about to have conversations that'll help you in every space, whatever space of life that you're in. And we hope that these conversations are real, they're relevant, and they help you get further faster, for real. You know, I'm being obnoxious. I think we've done, I can feel you looking at me.
I'm just trying to figure out where this is going.
No, look, I promise you it's not going to go somewhere where you're embarrassed. And it's not going to go somewhere where you feel, where I'm going to attack you.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I was just trying to figure out where we're going. That's it.
Yeah, no. A big deal, I think, in any room you live in, whether home, office, a date, marriage, kids, in your own head, holy smokes, right? Is the difference between listening and hearing, right? And there's a lot to be said on that, babe, but I think that for me, the fundamental is how you synthesize, hold on. Because synthesis of data and information is like 3 or 4 steps in.
Exactly.
I think it's how you sit and you be silent. Mm-hmm. I think it's how you give a person enough time to say or to communicate what's being said or what needs to be said, what they want to. I think it's taking a moment to confirm, I'm hearing you say this. Did I hear you correctly? Yeah. And then when you have affirmative, appropriate responses to that, then you begin to synthesize what is my mission? What are my action items moving forward? And I know that sounds super robotic and like it sounds like an HR department, kind of
complicated.
But I think what happens is we don't realize that we're doing some form of that automatically.
Right. And I think it's the automatic response that we're taught as kids. Because I think as kids, you always want to be right or you always want to defend yourself. So you develop habits on hearing your parents, hearing your sibling. But when you're hearing somebody, quote unquote, hearing, you're already trying to formulate the response in order for you to look good. And I think that's a very immature way to continue to have conversations and have interactions.
Yeah, for sure. Now, for the record, Diana's the one that came in hot. Okay, she came in and started calling all of us immature right away.
We definitely were.
Yeah, I think it's an immaturity. I think it's an underdevelopment. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes there is maturity and development, and sometimes it's just a choice. To be honest, I think having done what we've done, both being married for as long as we've been married, and working with so many people as long as we've been working, I think we've seen the full spectrum. Yeah. People don't know they're doing it. People know they're doing it, but they don't know how to stop. Mm-hmm. And then people know they're doing it and they don't want to stop. Yeah. Right. And I think that last person, I don't want to deal with them right away
today,
because that's a character issue.
Yeah, right. Because nobody can make you be something you don't want to be.
At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, the fundamental word is communication, right? That's what it is. If I'm listening or if I'm hearing, and how I respond to what I'm perceiving and what I'm processing, all of that is the act and the art of communication.
Right.
And you have communication or you have effective communication. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we all want to have. We want to have effective communication. And that last person does not want to communicate effectively.
Yeah, they just want to be right.
They want to be stubborn. They want to be, they want to bully. They want to drag people. And the issue with that last person is not that it's a capacity issue, because at the end of the day, communication is either a capacity issue, either I know how or I don't know how, or it's a character issue. I won't.
Right.
I just won't. I won't.
Yeah, because even if you don't know how, you'll be willing.
Yeah, right. You can learn. Yeah, you can learn. You can learn. You can have humility and submit yourself to say, I think we could all agree to this. Maybe all is a little exaggerated. But I think most of us would agree to this, that there are aspects in our life and there are gaps in our life where we are aware that we don't know how to do it the best way.
Yeah.
And there's this subconscious, subliminal thing underneath the surface for us where we're just like, man, I feel like I'm on some kind of a track that's leading me and driving me a certain way. I have these primal responses. And that's a shout out to a guy named Mike Foster who wrote a book called Seven Primal Questions. And those primal questions come with responses, and it's what drives you underneath. The metaphor that he gives is Disneyland. You're on a ride, right? Like Autotopia from Disneyland.
Okay.
And when you drive it, which is funny, every time we go to Disneyland, I feel like Autotopia is one of the last rides we ride it. We always ride it like at 11:40.
Oh, it's like that race car one.
And it's like, no, it is.
It's like, and then you're driving it, you're on the track.
And what happens is because when you drive, it can sway a little bit. It gives you the feeling that you're in control.
Right.
But if you go on the ride long enough, you see that there's a track that the car's locked into, that it's going to take it a certain way, no matter which way you steer.
Okay.
And
good to know.
The whole idea behind Mike's book is that there's a track underneath us all that is actually the thing that's driving us, regardless of how we have these marginal responses, etc. Anyway, and so my point is that I think we all have an awareness that there's something driving me, whether it's right or wrong. And for those of us who may not know how to ask the question of, man, how can I listen better? How can I communicate better? How can I understand you better? How can I hear you better or perceive you better? I think it really is, at the very least, there's a sentiment of I want to.
Right.
There
has to be.
Right. I think if you're asking yourself the question, and maybe this is for the younger people who join us in the living room, who say, man, I don't know how to get there to where you and Diana are. Okay, well, I mean, obviously, we're a few years ahead, a few years into the game. But if you have a sentiment of, I want to get better, I don't know how, that's not a bad place to be.
Yeah. I feel like that's where I was when we first started, like when we first got married, because I guess I always argued to be right, because most of the time I felt like my way was the best way.
You know what? Can I pause?
Can I say
I'm so grateful? I want y'all to know we just had a breakthrough in the living room. You're witnessing a breakthrough right now. I'm so grateful for your humility and your honesty today.
No, it's the
I
truth.
can't believe you just said that out loud.
No, yeah.
It only took you 27 years.
No, I've told you that.
I know, I'm being obnoxious.
But I really did feel like my way was just the best way if you would listen to me.
Yeah, you're a big Usher fan. My way. You know what I mean?
Is that Usher?
Yeah. She there's the couple songs that say "My Way," but the one I just sang is not the Usher song. But Usher does a song called "My Way."
That is not Usher.
I know, but Usher does a song called "My Way."
Okay, anyway.
For sure. Anyway, neither here nor there. Sorry for interrupting.
Okay, so back to my thought.
What you were saying is don't get lost. I'm with you in here. I'm in the living room with you. Is that you really perceive that your way was the right way? Right. I got you, girl.
So
I got you.
So
some of us are listening.
So instead of actually listening to what you were saying and trying to hear your heart, I was hearing you so I could rebuttal what you were saying in order for you to agree with me.
Sure.
And I did that for a really long time.
Yeah.
So you taught me how to say, you know what, we're not here to argue with one another. We're going to sit down and actually listen to each other's hearts. And we might not even come to a conclusion right now. We're going to sit on it and then we'll come back and ask questions. We had to be humble enough to say, hey, you know what? My way might not be the right way. Let me hear and listen to what you're really trying to say.
Yeah, I think there's a thing also when you're a strong personality, because you are a strong personality, where it's not just my way may not be right or wrong. It's also I need to listen to their perspective.
Right.
Because what happens
you're a whole
is
human with your own life experience.
Right.
And I felt like I was being arrogant and thinking it has to be this way.
Yeah, I don't think it's arrogance at first. No, I think you dig down, for sure. But I think it's short-sightedness. Mm-hmm. I think it's inexperience and
for sure.
it never came off arrogantly, but it did come off, and this is what would drive me nuts for years. And it would end in the knockout, drag out, just, the moments where we had real like explosive interactions was whenever you would be dismissive.
Yeah. And I didn't even know what you meant by that.
Right.
Like I had no clue, number one, I was doing it. And number two, that would never be my objective. So you really had to explain that to me, because I'm like, I don't even understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and so if you guys are watching and you're thinking, okay, Cruz, what do you mean by that you were being dismissed? I can put it in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Now, it wasn't this way exactly every time, but it really felt this way, where I would say, hey, what you just did made me feel this way. And you would say, no, it didn't. That's how it felt. Okay. Right. Now I would use language like the last couple of years, I've used language like, dude, that's gaslighting. Mm-hmm. Right. Now you didn't like when I would use that because it felt very,
it felt very strong. Cause again, that wasn't my intent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, we have to go back to like your root cause. Like you felt that way because like when you were younger, you always felt like you were dismissed.
Correct.
So you were putting me in a category of your past experience, and it would like drive me crazy because I'm like, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah. So no, like I love what's about to happen, because we're about to process something real time. Okay. And so welcome to the living room, because this is actually how we do our best to try to talk this way to get an understanding. So you're saying that I would immediately categorize you and put you into essentially what would be probably considered a trauma response.
There you go.
Right. However, I think that lets you off the hook too easily.
Well, I mean, okay. I'm not saying period. That's what it was. That's what it felt like.
Sure.
To me.
Let me finish the thought. Right. And so I think in those moments, and I think this is really helpful for people that are watching, in those moments, it became very easy. It became very easy for you to continue dismissiveness, to be like, well, I'm not your mom, and I'm not that, and and the whole time saying,
I never really said that.
Okay, but the sentiment was, okay? The sentiment was, it came across, you never said it.
Yes, the sentiment was, I got you.
You never said it, but you communicated it.
Okay.
Okay? But here's the thing. It was, my whole point for years was, whether I'm comparing you to a person or to an incident or to a trauma, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you what you're doing right now.
Right.
And your response would still be dismissive, and you would say, yeah, but I'm not doing what they did to you. And I would say, I know, but you're doing it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
it needs to stop, because when you do this is what it feels like to me.
Right. And I still didn't understand, because to me, I'm like, but I don't understand what I'm doing. Like you literally had to, and still do sometimes, have to spell it out for me.
Sure.
Because it's not my heart and it's not my intention.
Now
I really feel like if it was my intention, it would be like, oh, I know, like I'm caught.
Right. And that's where I had to meet you halfway, right? That's where I had to lean in and give benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
I had to allow the equity of the trust and the intimacy that we've shared. I had to allow the depth of the character that I know that you carry to be the thing that would convince me otherwise. Right. Because yes, it absolutely was a trauma response. It absolutely was me reacting to the ghosts in my head, right? To the scars from the past. And at the same time, though, it was a very real situation for me where I was experiencing something real time, right? So you and I both had to really learn to effectively discuss and communicate.
Yeah.
I had to hear you saying, look, man, I'm not doing this intentionally.
Right.
I really am doing this from a place of naivete, a place of inexperience.
Oblivious.
Sometimes if we're just talking, it was we both, okay? It's not just you. I promised you at the beginning that this was not going to be attacking or humiliating or embarrassing. We both were coming from a place of stubbornness as well, because we're,
for sure,
as you can imagine, right? Those of you that know us, like our personalities are incredibly strong.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that. Stubbornness, definitely. And especially stubbornness. And if we're in a place of like, you haven't eaten, you just got home,
well,
like
yeah,
all the life
factors just amplify it for sure. But when we had breakthroughs, and if we're going to be very transparent and very honest, I think we just started getting breakthroughs to that about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, because at the same time, you still didn't, I don't think you really believe like, oh, you're not you're really not knowing that you're doing it. And I'm like, I really don't know. So I would ask you, you know what, just tell me.
Yeah.
And you would point that out.
So let's talk about that. You know, in a moment, maybe you've had, you know, those of you that are watching, maybe you've had moments where it's hard because of how you're feeling. It's hard to give the person across from you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right. And then immediately what it does is it charges, or the word that everyone likes to use is it triggers. Right. And so now, you said something earlier, and we don't have to talk about it the whole way, but like now I'm fighting every fight in this fight. Mm-hmm. Everything that's ever been done to me, I'm bringing it into this fight.
And I'm just like, what in the world? Like, that's not what I meant. And that's something that I think you had to, like you said, lean into me and say, okay, my wife isn't that, and she's really not trying to make me feel this. And I would really try to diffuse the situation by being like, look, Cruz, surrendered, my hands are up, like, I'm not fighting with you, like, explain to me, because I really did want to understand you. I didn't want to keep going through the same hamster wheel again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I think in these situations, one of you has to be, actually both of you, but one of you has to be a little bit more humble enough to say, okay, I'm dropping everything, go ahead.
Yeah, but I think it requires mutual humility. I think it's so interesting that we got into this topic, right? Because it's more conflict resolution than anything else. We wanted to talk about communication, but I love how it evolved, because good conflict resolution and good getting an understanding requires clear, intentional communication. And so you said that you know, one requires more humility than the other, and I understand that, and I agree. However, what I would add to it is that, but at the same time, we both had to, because there were times where I absolutely could walk away and still be stubborn and still be mad and still be hurt and all of that. And I have a choice to make. As I'm listening to you, right? What's going to be the response that I give you? Right? Do I want to hold on to the negativity for the next 3 or 4 days just to have the gratification that you know I'm mad?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's all it is. It doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't push us forward. It doesn't bring us back into intimacy. It doesn't restore peace and joy and calm in our home. All it does is it's a cheap medication. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's a cheap Band-Aid. I mean, we both did that for a long time, like for the first 5 years of our marriage. And we realized how much time we wasted and how we got nowhere fast. And we literally had no intimacy within each other, because neither one of us wanted to roll up our sleeves to do the work, to sit through hard conversations. Like, hard conversations take a lot of time and they take work. Yeah. So you gotta both be humble enough to have them.
Yeah, I would love to kind of shift gears and lean into that, because we talked about the tension, and we talked about the friction we had. But I would love to lean into the difference, or what clicked for us when we really started listening to each other and not just hearing. Yeah. Right. But you don't hear me. You're not hearing me. Right. And it was like, oh my gosh. Right.
One thing that would drive me crazy though, in that, like, if we would be talking and you would grab your phone and look down and start texting, forget it. Like, I knew you weren't listening.
Well, that's anybody. Like, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I was just kidding. I was just thinking, you know, what are some things that you say, I'm listening, but like, it's very different than active listening. And active listening requires a stance.
I'm not here. Yeah. My posture's not here, or cognitively I've checked out.
Yeah. Active listening, you have, like you said, a posture, you're leaning forward, you have eye to eye contact. Like, it makes a big difference.
1,000,000%. I used to not buy into that.
Yep. And you would fight me.
I would, 100, absolutely. And I was very, very adamant in the multitasking thing. Mm-hmm. And then I was corrected very profoundly one time by a person I really respect. And essentially the lesson I learned was that multitasking is the most inefficient way to do anything. Yeah. The book of James says it this way, that a double-minded man is going to be unstable in everything he does, right? Mm-hmm. So double-minded means I'm like jumping back and forth. I'm code switching, I'm task switching, and nothing gets my full attention, and I'm going to be double-minded in everything I do. And I think there was a whole lot of that happening, right? And so I'm learning to have the discipline. You know, if we're talking about active listening, have the discipline to be present, right? To be locked in and to give myself the benefit of all my processing power in that moment. I'm giving you everything. This is the person I love.
Yeah.
This is the woman I've committed to. When I said I do to Diana on January 3rd, 2004, I said, of all the 8 billion people on the planet, this woman is the most important person on the planet to me, right? So why wouldn't I live up to my vows? And I don't mean to make it so like dramatic.
No, but it is that dramatic.
But I made a vow,
Yeah.
right? And so it's part of...
Sorry, we have a little friend.
Welcome to the living room. There's a fly. Do you hate flies?
Yes.
Me too. Put it in the chat. I don't know if there's a chat or not, but anyway, yeah. And so part of being engaged, man, I'm thinking about this right now. Like, maybe we're not, 21 years of marriage, I've never been unfaithful in the macro, but shoot, I've been unfaithful in the micro, in these little conversations where I'm flirting with other thoughts and flirting with other ideas and flirting with something else getting my attention when I should be giving you my attention.
Yeah.
Man, I've never considered it that way. I think Holy Spirit just put that in my brain. Like, bro, like there is a degree of faithfulness when it comes to these kinds of moments right here, these 15 minutes, these 22 minutes, which over the span of a lifetime, that's going to make up the most of the time we spend together, and not just date nights and not just, we were on vacation and we talked, but it's like, no, man, 7 minutes on the ride to dinner or 11 minutes on the ride home or whatever, you just were clocked out, not paying attention. That's crazy. I'm so convicted right now.
The thing that would drive me crazy would be, you would tell me, I heard everything you said. And the thing is that you could repeat everything back I had just said.
So I have this thing.
So it would drive me nuts because it could only be the Holy Spirit to bring you to this place, because me, nah.
I have this thing, and maybe some of you as well. I have this beautiful gift from God called ADD, and I can be totally locked in. It's really weird because I'm aware, but I'm not involved, right? So I'm aware of conversations. I can track multiple. If I'm in a busy room, I can track multiple conversations. I can remember a lot about a lot. Right? My recall it's a blessing. And so like, yes, I would frustrate you to no end when you're like, you didn't hear anything I said. I said, yeah, I did. You said this and this and this and this. And I would say it back to you verbatim. But what I didn't understand was I heard it, but I didn't listen to it. I didn't process it. I didn't give it meaning. I didn't give it weight.
And for me, you didn't give me eye contact.
Right.
You didn't give me any type of posture.
Right. That says this matters to me. That matters to me.
That you matter to me.
Sheesh.
Not even this conversation.
Sheesh.
I didn't even care about the conversation. But the fact that you would look up and look at me.
Wow.
Was such a big deal. And we fought about that for a long time.
I think this is so profound though, because now maybe we're just naive and we haven't listened to enough content on active listening, but I've never heard anyone say like your internal posture needs to be one that I'm letting the person across from me know this is meaningful to me. Right? There's a couple of people in our lives that we love, they're heroes to us. I remember once I was with Bishop T.D. Jakes. I got to host him and spend time in his space, like in his personal space for like 35, 45 minutes. And he was engaged with me. Like we had a conversation and he talked and he asked me questions and he remembered my name in that moment. And in that moment for those few minutes, it was like, man, this conversation means something to this man, right? And now that I've gotten a little older, that was like, 17 years ago. But now that I've gotten older, I just thought, man, he was so kind.
Yeah.
Because he was doing that for me. I know he was doing that for me.
For sure.
Because the conversation we were having, he probably deleted it from his memory bank, but he did it for me and it meant the world to me.
Yeah.
Right. And so at this point of my life, by no means, am I saying I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes, but I watch some of my leaders, like my pastor, Pastor Charles, right, Neiman here in El Paso, Texas. When he interacts with people, he like leans in. It's intense. It's intense eye contact.
Yeah,
and it's like in that moment, in that 5 minutes you're talking to him, you're aware that to him you're the most important person in the room.
Yeah.
right? And so for me, that's been really corrective, and it's really helped me because I don't ever want you to second guess whether you are more important than an Instagram refresh, or you're more important than replying to a text message. Undeniably, you are more important than that to me. But effective communication, effective, active listening will let you know that, right? And so my posture, for sure, my posture is everything. Yeah, I take that. What else? Because I feel like we've both changed, but for you, let me interview you for a second. What has been the most significant shift for you as you're learning to listen better to me?
To slow my response, because I'm a fast reactor. Like, I work in settings where my response usually needs to be quick. So I'm used to responding quick. So I've learned with you, like, I have to take a minute. You've taught me how to ask questions. You've taught me how to, like, not just respond for the sake of responding, which is really easy for me to do. And it's really hard for me to slow down and ask questions because I have a lot of assumptions. And most of the time, my assumptions in my head are not assumptions, they're facts. And I go off on that. So for me, it's just been slowing down to ask questions, observe, making sure that I'm responding appropriately.
A few Sundays ago, I taught the church on self-control, temperance, and exactly what you're talking about right now. Having proper pacing in how you're responding and or reacting, right? And one of the things that I taught the church was, in your how you engage, you're going to be either reactionary or responsive. Reaction is instinct. It's sympathetic, parasympathetic, it's sympathetic, right? I'm either going to be fight or flight. And what happens is it's knee jerk, it's snap judgment. It happens immediately. And the book of James says, be quick to listen and slow to speak, for the wrath of man does not bring about the righteousness of God. And you and I have talked about this before, not on the pod, but we've had conversations about it. So let's bring it up for the homies. That statement, wrath, doesn't mean anger. It means your primal response, the thing that is instinctive for you, right? And so sometimes when you listen, instinctively, I want to be right. Instinctively, I get defensive. Instinctively, I fight, or instinctively, I hide and I run, I flee. Yeah. And so what James is saying in the word is he's saying that your instincts and your instinctive reaction won't bring about the best thing and the best outcomes that God wants to give you. So he teaches, so be slow to speak or be slow to respond.
Yeah, slow to respond.
Right? And that slow actually has, I forgot. In the Greek language, it's not a present participle. Sorry, I don't mean to geek out. But the tone in it is real time, slow down.
Yeah, it's literally what I feel like I have to do.
It literally means pause. Like literally, it means pause before you speak. Stop. And then, so what I taught the church was this, and hopefully this is helpful to you guys. What I taught the church was that Hebrews, the Jews, the Hebrew people in the Old Testament teach us this word that does exactly that. It pauses, right? And you find that word most concentrated in the book of Psalms. And that word is Selah, right? And Selah simply means pause to reflect and to receive, right? Give God a moment so you reflect on what's happening and then you receive what God is doing. Yeah. And I remember when I was preparing to teach the church this, I was just kind of having in my time of prayer, I said, Lord, like, does that moment really matter? Like it's milliseconds.
It is.
Like sometimes it really is just a matter of milliseconds. Like the course of a whole evening, we're going on vacation in a few hours, right? Like 12 hours. In 12 hours, we'll be in Cancun, right? But I've already been framing in my head, Cruz, slow down. because I'm going to be high strung. I'm carrying the suitcases.
Yeah.
We're in a foreign country.
Yeah.
So I'm like on high alert. So I'm high strung. And it usually takes me about 2.5 days to just unwind. Right. But already I'm telling myself, I've been praying this like today and yesterday, like, Cruz, slow down, stop. Don't be so frazzled. Don't be so on high alert. And that pause, babe, can literally, that moment of stopping, pausing, reflecting and receiving can literally make or break a vacation.
Right. It can even make or break an evening.
Yeah.
At home at dinner.
The truth is, watch, it can make or break your life. As I've gone through battery of counsel and working through my just my story of life, I can point to, Diana, like singular moments with an authority figure in my life that shifted the trajectory of my thinking. Like moments, not years of systematic abuse or years of, because that was there too. But there were moments like, and just for the sake of the conversation, again, I don't want to make it too deep, but the moments were like, you're so stupid. Oh, that's the best you can do. This isn't enough. You're not doing enough. And as a little guy, right, 8, 9 years old, all I'm hearing is like, I'm not enough. And it's one or two moments. I can, like right now, I can see it. And it's one or two moments.
That's crazy.
And you cannot underestimate the power of those moments. So what happens is what the Lord was telling me when I was teaching this to the church was, look, for you, it's half a second. You're human, you're bound by time.
Yeah.
However, he said, Cruz, remember that I told you that a day is like 1,000 years to me? I can put 1,000 years in a day. He said, so in a split second, I can bring eternity and put eternity in a split second. And for you, it's only half a second, but I can give you a piece of eternity. If you just give me a little bit of room, I can put my eternal wisdom and I can put my eternal patience and I can put my eternal word.
It's beautiful.
I can put my eternal love in that moment and it'll change everything. Right. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, man, like that pausing, that Selah, man, it really matters. And so I think in all of this and the active listening, I think that the application is listen with intent to understand, not with instinct to react and respond.
Yeah. And I think as we've matured, that's something that you've really taught me. And it's also been super helpful raising kids because, this could have been super toxic for our kids if we kept just reacting and, just yelling in the moment. And now, like, we both try really hard to stop, ask questions instead of just,
Making
yelling
assumptions
and yelling at the situation.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we don't create trauma in our kids.
Yeah. I think the old cliches and the old puns, in moments like this they come true, right? Y'all just indulge me. Okay. But this is why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. This is why you can shut your mouth, but not your ears.
That's good.
This is why listen and silent are spelled with the same letters, and so I think listening can just change everything. Yeah. Right. Not just I audibly registered. I heard you. Yeah. Right.
It's a real skill that you have to develop.
Yeah. It's like the difference between I see you and I acknowledge you. There's two different things. Oh yeah, I saw you, but I saw you just like, all right. But versus acknowledge is like, girl, you look so pretty. You look so, I love when you have braids on and I love the gold in your braids.
Thank you.
And I love how you've matched it with your earrings. And so I didn't just see you, I acknowledged you.
Yeah.
You want to say anything to me?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Y'all, we went a little bit longer than usual in this conversation and we got pretty honest. I didn't expect to get this honest on this one. Well, we always want to be honest. I didn't think this one was going to be that deep, but man, that was a great conversation. I think that was a big game changer for us.
Yeah.
When we started listening to each other. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I hope that helped you. And as always, we absolutely love having you in the living room with us. It really is a blessing and an honor and a privilege. So many of y'all are jumping in and I'm really proud of us, in 6-7 months, we've built a little baby channel and a little baby community, and
we love you.
and we're so grateful for you guys. You guys are remarkable as always. Look, Diana tells me this all the time. She's like, dude, why don't you just shoot a video and put it in somewhere else? I'm like, I don't know. I just do it at the end. But thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. That's the right word. If you want to follow us on Instagram and see what's going on with other aspects of our life, all of our social media handles are in the description of this video. Turn on the bell notification. We do our very best to drop every single week, and hit the subscribe button. Again, it's incredible to me how there's so many people that watch that don't subscribe. You like it, you keep coming back. And you know, thank you for commenting. It blesses us when you comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you love. And we say this, and no one's really taken us up on it yet, but let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. Like we would love to address some of the things that are in your living room
for sure,
and bring it into ours. And we would love to talk about it. So, hey, listen, hope you have an incredible rest of your time, whatever day it is that you're watching this. And we will catch you soon.
Peace.
Peace.